future. For example, my brother and my cousins graduated from college 3 years ago and have not found a job yet. Unless you have connections, you can't get a
Let's speak to Ahmed Bayram. He is the Middle East Media Advisor at the Norwegian Refugee Council and joins us from Amman in Jordan. Ahmed, welcome to the program. I mean, clearly, we don't want to generalize necessarily across the Middle East. It's so many countries with their own systems. But what's the overall picture? Is it possible to paint one for 15 to 24-year-olds and their search for opportunities in the Middle East?
Thanks for having me. I mean, of course, across the Middle East, there is similar problem. If you cross from the west to the east of the region, you will see similar problems and trends among young people. I was in Iraq and Mosul 2 months ago, and I heard one young person, he was, I think, 20 years, who told me, and that summed it up really for me. He said that we here in Iraq and in Mosul, we don't think of tomorrow, we only think of today. We don't have ambition. And this is a problem that we have seen across countries where we work. Young people have, I wouldn't say have lost hope, but ambition is beyond reach for them. I mean, we're talking about higher, obviously, unemployment rates in countries where poverty dominates or where conflict dominates. And this is sadly the case for at least a handful of countries in the Middle East. So yes, there is a similar picture, a picture of a sense of hopelessness, I would say, but also, and I have seen this, there's a vertical division. If we look at countries where young people with education opportunities, much more hopeful than young people who have lost an opportunity to learn. So a lot of the future opportunities, that is work, that is career path, that is ambition, is linked to education. And that is probably what is different in the Middle East compared to other countries around the world.
Yeah, do you think there might be a difference between, you mentioned Iraq, for example, a difference between Iraq and, say, a monarchy, a kingdom like Saudi Arabia, or, for example, Kuwait, where there's an emir? Those countries with the royal families, they have had, over decades, a slightly different way of taking care of their people. In other words, providing them with something, whether it's a job or not. But because of their income from energy and oil, they've had this kind of almost paternalistic attitude towards their people. Does that also apply to the young people in those countries compared to a nation like Iraq, for example?
I mean, with the level of work that we do on the ground, we don't have that level of distinction. I mean, it's an interesting point that you put out there. But what I can tell you is that the link we have in our work and the future prospects of these people all depend on the environment around them. I have to say that factors like conflict, like poverty, like loss of education, are probably the top 3 issues that we hear about all the time of people, and that definitely decides where they are going in their lives. We know that in countries around us. I mean, in the Middle East or in the northern sphere of the Middle East, we know that countries definitely look at, or societies look at, people with obviously no education as, you know, probably in terms of job opportunities and in terms of the outlook for the future, as probably 3rd or 4th grade people in terms of the skills that they have. And that needs a change. There's a change in narrative that we have to look at. If you are out of school, you can still build a career and you can still build a future. And this is what we do with communities in places like Jordan, places like Lebanon and Iraq, where we give them the opportunity, an apprenticeship or traineeship opportunity where they can start building their skills. And I can tell you about young women, for example, in Zatari camp here in Jordan, who are learning about woodworking, something that, you know, in societies, probably some societies would frown upon. We are changing that narrative, and we are saying that even if your environment, even if your obviously the circumstances in which you were raised don't give you that opportunity, don't give you education as a clear path to future opportunities, yes, you will have another path, and that is in things like soft skills that you can learn, computer or languages or coding, or as I said, manual work even. We need to look at that, I would say, change in the narrative that, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are out of job if you are out of education.
Absolutely. Ahmed, thank you so much indeed for joining us. Ahmed Bayram from the NRC. Take care.